So we're now on step 6 of the Simple Raglan Sweater tutorial, and this tutorial is to knit the sleeves. So you have finished the body of your sweater and you've knit the edge and you have bound off the edge of your sweater. So now we're going to move on to the sleeves. So I've knit a sleeve for you to show you what it looks like. And as you can tell, this sleeve is knit in the round. And it is knit from, you're gonna pick up stitches from the underarm here and you're gonna work all the way down to the bottom of this cuff. So as you can tell, this pattern has the purl line. I've continued that line throughout the sleeve. And also when you knit the sleeves, you're going to knit a certain amount of length before you start the decreases. Each size is a little bit different. So watch for that in the pattern. And once you knit the required amount, the length, then you are going to start the decreases. And you're going to decrease on either side of the sleeve. The first decrease will be an SSK, and the second decrease will be a knit two together. And decreases are going to be evenly spaced depending on your size as well. And this is in the pattern. And you're going to do these decreases to a certain amount of stitches, and then also you're going to knit to a certain length from the underarm before you start the cuff. And then once you reach that length, you'll knit the cuff and then you'll bind off. And then you will have your sleeve, and then you can start working on your second sleeve. So now I'm going to show you how to knit the sleeve of this sweater. So this is my second sleeve, but you will be on your first sleeve. So in order to do this sleeve, you are going to need 4 dpns of the same size. And I'm going to show you this tutorial with 4 dpns. You could do this sleeve using 2 circular needles, or you could also use a long circular needle to do magic loop. Now I have videos that show you how to work the sleeve of a sweater with these 2 circular needles or with magic loop, and you're welcome to view them, as you might find them a little bit easier than using dpns. But for this video, I'm going to show you how to knit this raglan sleeve sweater with 4 dpns. So the first step in knitting the sleeve is to transfer my stitches that are on the stitch holder or a piece of yarn onto my 3 dpns. So you're going to undo your knot here, or if you're using a stitch holder, you don't need to do this step. So when I have my stitches on a piece of yarn and I transfer to dpns, I find it easiest to leave the yarn in the stitches until I have them on my dpns. So you're going to evenly space out your stitches. So depending on how many stitches you have, it'll depend on then how many you'll put on each dpn. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You can just eyeball this stage. Okay, so I have a few on my first dpn, and then I'm going to move over to my next dpn. Okay, and then my last dpn. As you can tell, they're not totally evenly distributed. But if that is annoying, I can transfer after I am getting them all on. Okay, so they're almost there, just a few more. Okay, so I have them all. Now I'm going to just pull out my yarn, just like that. And that was simple, and there are all my stitches on dpns. Okay, so the first step is to knit our first round. But before we do that, you notice that we have quite a gap here. So we want to add some stitches to fill in that gap. So, and each size is a little different. For most, we're going to pick up 1 stitch. So find a spot that has a little hole here, and I would go under at least 2 strands of yarn just to make that a little bit stronger, the stitch a little bit stronger. If you can see here, There's 2 strands of yarn, and what we're going to do is take our working yarn like so, and we're going to insert our needle, and then we're going to pick up the yarn and create a stitch here. Like so. So now we have our first stitch. Okay, and then we're going to work across our round. And this is going to be a straight knit. So we're going to work across our dpns like you would normally. So we've reached the end of the first round, and we still have a little gap here. So before we finish it, we're going to pick up one more stitch. So doing the same thing, going underneath this yarn here, we're going to slip or knit a stitch through. Okay, so that's the end of round 1. And you'll notice that our first stitch here is pretty big, so or loose. So we're going to take this, our tail end here, and pull it, make it tighter before we start round 2. So after we've done round 1, we're going to work round 2. So round 2 is just slightly different. We're going to knit 2, and then we're going to purl 1. And then we're going to knit across all of the stitches till we have 3 stitches left. Okay, so we've knit across round 2 to the last 3 stitches. We're going to purl 1, and then we're going to knit the last 2. So that was round 2. So we have 2 rounds. The first round is a knit round, and the second round has 2 purl stitches in it. And you will work round 1 and 2 for a certain amount of length from the underarm. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a decrease round. So once you've knit the required length measured from the armpit, you will work your first decrease round. I haven't quite knit as far as I need to on this sweater, but I just want to show you how to do this round. So the first step is that you're going to do this decrease round in a round number 2, where you have a purl stitch. So you're going to knit the first 2 stitches. You're going to purl the third, and then we're going to do a decrease. On this side, we're going to do an SSK, so a slip, slip, and then we're going to knit these 2 together. And our decrease will point in that direction. And then we're going to knit all the way around till we get to the last 5 stitches. Okay, so I've knit around to the last 5 stitches. And on this side, we are going to do a knit 2 together. So we're going to do our decrease here. And our stitches are going to point in the right direction. We're going to do our purl 1, and then we're going to knit the last 2. So that was a decrease round. So you are going to do this decrease round now every certain amount of length. And remember, you're going to substitute the decrease round for a round 2. So continuing with our sleeve, we're going to now continue knitting round 1 and 2. And then when you reach the certain amount of length between each decrease, you're going to do another decrease. And each size does different amounts of decreases. And this is also in the pattern. And then once you're done your decrease, you will work then in round 1 and 2 until you reach the required amount of length from the underarm to your start of your cuff, and then you will work your cuff, and then you will bind off your cuff, and your sleeve will be done. So good luck.